I'm a big fan of alliteration, you'll find out. So a lot of you might be expecting me to talk about ultrasound or talk about evidence-based medicine, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to tell you a story. And this is a long story, so buckle in. We're going to start back in 2009. 2009 was an exciting time for me and for my wife, Shavana. We were expecting our first child, September. And after work each day, we'd go for a walk along Cable Beach. It's beautiful, sand, sun. And we'd talk about what we thought the future was going to be about. And there was all these other young mums walking along the beach with slowly growing bumps. And I recognised some of them, and one of them was Rachel. Rachel was one of Shavana's antenatal patients, actually. But I didn't know her as a patient. She was the woman that worked in the supermarket. That's where I knew her from. So this story is about Rachel. It's about her family and how I became basically part of their life. Oops, sorry. So one night in September, I'm working in ED, small, busy hospital. I'm the only doctor there. Around sundown, I got a call from the midwives to say they just admitted a prime EP earlier. She was fully. She was going to start pushing. They didn't need me. They'd let me know. I said, okay. So there I am in ED, repairing the revelers, validating the viremic. And just as I'm sewing up the last drunk, a MET call goes off, labour ward. So I put down my needle holders and I run. I run to the ward. And as I walk into the ward, I push back the curtain. There's two midwives. They're leaning on this naked woman, screaming thighs. And they part. And I look down, and there's a grey-blue head sucking in and out of the perineum. There's bright, dark, brown mech dripping from this baby's mouth. And I look at the midwife. She says, 5 minutes. And I look back. Get on those legs. Episiotomy scissors, push. The next push, I pull a grey, limp boy from his mother. It's only then that I look up and see Rachel's face, and she's just in horror. I lose it at that point. I go to the neonate cot, and I just start bagging, because I'm an anaesthetic doctor. That's what I do. Bag, bag, bag. I can't move air. So then I remember the algorithm. I'm supposed to suck first. So I put a tube down, and we suck. Mech, mech, mech. I get another tube. We suck again. Mech, mech. The third time he coughs. We've got a pulse. Rachel's on the bed still. Is he okay? She says. Oh, he's doing better, I say. I don't know what else to say. He's been down for so long. At this point, Rachel's bleeding. There's a gush of blood. Another algorithm springs into my mind. This time I get it right, though. Drugs, drip, rub, sew. The trickle ceases just as help arrives. So there we are. He's on the cot. The midwife's still bagging through the tube. We go around to the nursery. Over the next couple of hours, we re-intubate him 3 times as the tubes clog with that mech. The pressures are just ridiculously high. He shows no signs of fight. We know that he's gone. We're stuck though. We're in Broome. He's ventilated. What to do? Luckily, a kind neonatologist in a hospital 1,000 miles away offers us an escape. She says, if that's what the family wants, we'll take the transfer. So I go to Rachel and her husband Alan. It's 1 a.m. now. I say to them, he may make it. I hide behind hope. I sugarcoat the truth. I take the easy path. We decide to go. They want to go. They want to give him any chance that they possibly can. They're uncomprehending. They're exhausted. They don't know what to say. 4 o'clock in the morning, the retrieval team arrives. We talk about numbers. We talk about neurology. They package him up. At that moment, I get a call from a midwife. Please come back to the labour ward. There's another birth. This birth is beautiful. It's joyous. It's fast. It's happy. Things that birth should be. I wonder why I'm there. That midwife called me. She's one of my old midwives. I think she's been there before. She knows what I needed. When I come out of the labour ward, Rachel's gone. She's on the plane. And I'm pondering, did we make the right call? This is not what I would want for my family. A few hours after arriving in NICU on the other side of the continent, Rachel's baby dies. She's on her own. Alan's somewhere in an airport waiting for a flight. We can't contact him. This is not what I would want for my family. 3 weeks later, I became a father for the first time. It was beautiful. Julius was born and he was perfect. Home was beautiful. It was an idyllic island of 3. Everything was wonderful. That night, the memory sort of faded in that routine of sleep, play, feed, sleep. I remember sort of drifting through that month, feeling rejuvenated towards the end. But then I had to go back to work. And my first day back at work, there was an incident review. The neonatologists, the paediatricians, they wanted to review the case, as we do. They focused on those 10 or 15 seconds that I bagged. I broke the algorithm. My error was big. Everyone could see it. No one talked about the decision to transfer, my horrible counselling of Rachel, or the despair that she endured. There were lots of nights filled with sleeplessness and rumination. I couldn't talk to Giovanna about that. She had a new baby. She didn't want to hear it. I didn't think she did. So, went back to work. Life was good at home. A few weeks later, Giovanna asked me to go out and buy breast pads at the supermarket. So here I am, sleep deprived, thinking breast pads. Where do they keep this? Baby care, women's hygiene. I'm just sort of wandering around the supermarket like this. I turn the corner and there's Rachel in her uniform. We make eye contact. She just collapses to the ground in a pool of tears. I go to comfort her, but it's clear that my just being there is painful for her. So I'm there trying to comfort her and she's wailing on the ground. One of her colleagues, one of the store clerks, walks up. What did you say to her? What are you doing? He pushed me like this. Filled with guilt and shame, I just walked. I couldn't do anything else. I left the store. It was a tough day. Okay, I'm going to fast forward a bit. A year later, Giovanna's just given birth to our second son a few months ago, and doing a strange thing as a male doctor, I took paternity leave. I'm now the home dad. 2 little boys, Giovanna's back at work, and I'm doing all the domestic chores. I have a deep sense of inadequacy about this, because I'm not very good at that sort of stuff. I would prefer a room full of STEMIs to 2 children any day of the week. Giovanna's a much better parent than I am, I think it's clear. And she sent me on a shop, some of my male colleagues, I should say, sort of made jokes about how slack I'd been at home, not at work, pulling my weight. If only they knew the truth. So here I am one Tuesday morning. I'm doing the grocery shopping, pushing the trolley along. I'm in the produce section, but I'm trying to play it cool. The other young mums are there, loading their trolleys. I'm waving, how you going, how you going? A lot of them I know from the birth suites. I've got one little boy in the baby Bjorn, and Jules is now 1 and a bit. He's holding the shopping list in the trolley. I'm pushing them around, making jokes, laughing with the boys. I fill my grocery trolley full of good healthy fruit and veggies. I think this is easy. This job is just, I've got this. So I'm pushing down into the dairy section, and it's about that time that I smell it. It's this sickly sweet stink of faeces. But I'm in a bit of denial, so I just push on a bit more. I look down and I see that Julius has just done the monster load. This is massive, and I realise that I've done a really poor job with applying the nappy. And it starts dripping all over the fruit and veggies in the trolley beneath. And it's about this time that I hear Giovanna's voice uttering the most basic parenting protocol: take the nappy bag with you when you go shopping. There is no nappy bag, it's at home. So here I am, I'm in the supermarket, a trolley full of foul fondue. What to do? There was that moment where I thought I could just push the trolley to one side and leave the shop, and I'll get away with that. But no, I'm a very recognisable member of my community. Everyone knows my face. So I think action stations. Off to the baby aisle, I get supplies, some wipes and bags. I start cleaning up the kid, rebagging the groceries, wiping down the trolley. The little guy's here, he's going to get a bit distressed, he starts screaming, and the manager walks in, and it's Rachel. She sees me, she recognises, she smiles. She takes a step towards me, then she stops. And she stops and she pats a pregnant bump over her belly and smiles again. And at that moment, my trouble seemed like nothing. I was so happy. She helped me, we got on with life. Fast forward 6 months later, December 2011. I'm in my anaesthetic clinic and Rachel's my patient. She's due for her elective Caesar tomorrow. I ask her again, are you really sure you want me to do this? She and Alan agree, absolutely. They want me. The room's full of a lot of unspoken fears we don't mention. The next day, the theatre's very quiet. Usually there's music playing, lots of people talking. But this day there's nothing, it's crickets. I place their spinal, it remains deathly quiet until they incise a womb, fresh, clear amnion drains out. There's that awkward moment or two, then we hear that scream of life, fills the room. I've never been so happy to share in that moment with the family. We all cry together. So, Rachel and I moved on through our lives. Over the next 5 years or so, we sort of were never close, we were never friends, but we'd see each other at the gym, kindergarten drop-offs, at the supermarket regularly. We'd stop and chat, we'd share milestones and memories. She'd had another daughter, I had a third son. We'd talk about our kids mainly. Until one day in November 2016, not so long ago, I was in the ED working. On the electronic tracking screen, I saw Serena's name appear. Serena's Rachel's oldest daughter. And I thought, oh, that's Serena, I'll go see her. Here's the triage. 5-year-old girl, fell over at school, sore elbow, query fracture. Oh yeah, this is easy. So I go and call them through from the waiting room. I have a look at her, she's got a sore elbow. She says she didn't really fall, but a friend bumped into her and it's been sore ever since and she can't really move her arm. So we're making a few jokes and I walk her through to radiology. Here's her x-ray. So I spend a lot of time looking at this x-ray, wishing it weren't that. I called the radiologist and said, what do you think? They said it's an osteosarcoma. That's what it looks like to me. I knew that I couldn't go into that room and talk to Rachel without a plan. I needed a plan. I needed to know what was going to happen next. So I got on the phone to the Peds Tertiary Hospital and I spoke to someone called the Peds Bone Tumour Fellow. It's a very unfortunate title I didn't know existed. And to be honest, he was curt and condescending. He said, get a CT, we'll see her in 3 weeks. So I pleaded, I said 3 weeks, can you just see her this week? Why, is there something else wrong with her? No, she's perfect. That 3 weeks seemed to last a year. I went into the room, I broke the news to Rachel and Alan, we all cried again. They had a lot of questions, none that I could answer. I wished he'd given me more. But the main questions were around what was going to happen next. What about school? Should we move to Perth? What about our business? Will she need chemo? Will she lose her hair? Will she lose her arm? Will she die? What would you do? I didn't know the answer to these questions. So I gave Rachel my mobile number and I said, call me. They went home and over that 3 weeks we spoke for many hours. She told me her fears, her Google searches, her frustrations. I listened. I tried to maintain hope. I rejected a lot of bad signs. And at the end of the 3 weeks, they got on a plane and went to Perth. Rachel called me after she met with the surgeons after the first operation, the biopsy. It had been inconclusive. This was very frustrating for them. The surgeons changed the diagnosis 3 times in a week. Cancer, histiocytosis, back to cancer. They were going to do an MRI the next few days. We were waiting to hear the answer. A week later, I still hadn't heard anything. I popped out for lunch one day to the local supermarket to grab a sandwich at the cafe, and there I saw them. Rachel, Serena, Alan, and their other daughter. And there was that moment where I stopped. My heart slowed as I walked towards them. Rachel was smiling. I walked up. She said, "It's Olliers disease. It's benign. She's going to be fine." Once again, I found myself completely speechless and crying in a public place like today. Here's what I want you to take away from the story. In the last 10 years or so, I've learned a lot of medicine, ultrasound, all sorts of cool stuff. The most important things, though, I've learned from my patients. Our patients are an amazing source of information and strength. They have an amazing capacity to heal and to forgive, and we can learn a lot from them. Through Rachel, I see the long picture. As a country doctor, my life is filled with dozens of these intense relationships. They're woven into every day. This is what makes my craft remarkable, as well as incredibly rewarding, stressful at times, but great. I think we sometimes get blinded by science in medicine. There's this belief, this delusion that knowing more will stop bad things from happening, and that's a lie. Bad things happen to good people. Even the best doctors make mistakes, and we will harm our patients sometimes. It's not about getting it right, it's about being there and walking beside them through the uncertainty and the turmoil. And that's the real art to medicine. If we can do that well, we can get better outcomes. So I'll leave it there. My parting thoughts for you is that humanity is implicit in what we do in our everyday practice. We need to embrace that humanity in order to make our patients' lives better and to keep our own humanity strong. Thank you.